Welcome to Sydenham Station, one of the many stations serving the inner west of Sydney. Today, I'm going to be flying on that airline and aircraft there, bound for New Zealand's largest city, Auckland. When flying between Australia and New Zealand, passengers have a plentiful selection of different airlines to choose from. The most common and by far the most popular choice would definitely be Qantas and Air New Zealand. However, during the booking phase, I decided that instead of flying on a quote boring Qantas flight, I would choose an airline quite unlike the rest, which I will get to later. Sydney, much like the other major cities around Australia, has an extensive public network system reaching nearly every single corner of the city and suburbs. One such method of transportation is the relatively new metro, which is a fully autonomous, rapid transit system with the current line connecting Sydenham Station with Tallawong stopping in the city and using the old Chatswood to Epping line. Within the next 5 years, it's expected that all 4 planned lines, with 2 currently under construction, to be fully operational, serving not only the city and suburbs, but also with the new Western Sydney International Airport. For now, the metro does not connect to the airport, therefore a brief connection at Central Station or Walleye Creek using the T4 and T8 lines is required. Sydney Kingsford Smith International Airport is but one of the 5, soon to be 6, airports serving the city it's named after. The less common airfields are the Bankstown Aerodrome, which is used by general aviation and private jets, Camden Airport, which is used almost exclusively by gliders and balloons, RAF Base Richmond, which is the Sydney's main Defence Force base, the Holsworthy Barracks, another Defence Force base, and finally the newly constructed Western Sydney International Airport, which when opened will become the Avalon Airport of Sydney. Once I had arrived at the airport, I quickly proceeded upstairs to the departures level and consequently the check-in area. LATAM has a dynamic check-in area here at Sydney, meaning it's never necessarily in the same place. However, in my experience, they generally use check-in zones A and C. In today's case, they use check-in zone A on the far left-hand side of the building, or northern side. Check-in today was rather quick and painless, taking only a matter of minutes to complete. Once the check-in formalities had been completed, I was urged to head through security promptly, as according to the ground staff, boarding was to commence quite early prior to pushback. Security and immigration was rather painless today, however there was a little bit of a queue, particularly at security, so it took a bit of time to pass through. Post-immigration is the usual duty-free shopping area with high-end luxury items such as watches, perfumes, chocolates and alcohol. One thing I like about Sydney Airport is that you are not directly forced into the duty-free area, rather instead towards the food court and lounge area. Due to my short time at the airport today, I decided to browse duty-free and play my favorite game of find the most expensive bottle of alcohol, and today I found a bottle of whiskey worth $129,000, which is outrageous. After getting myself a cup of coffee and burning the tip of my tongue, the departures board changed and my flight was listed as boarding, so I quickly made my way to the gate. Walking between the security checkpoint and gates 50 and beyond is certainly an easy walk, but it does take its time, usually 10 to 15 minutes each way, depending on your walking speed. Upon arriving at the gate, waiting on stand, is the aircraft about to take me across to Auckland, New Zealand, which today is a Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner, registered as Charlie Charlie Bravo Golf India. Construction of this airframe was completed in February of 2016 at Boeing's final assembly line in Seattle, Washington, making this aircraft 9 years old. The aircraft was initially sent to LAN Chile before the eventual merge of LAN Chile and LATAM Airlines, which became what we see today, LATAM Airlines. Boarding commenced long after I had arrived at Gate 59, and it started firstly with business class and then followed by economy. LATAM's 787-9 Dreamliners have two different configurations depending on if they are originally LAN Chile aircraft or not. This particular aircraft has 313 seats in a 2-class configuration, with 30 Zodiac or a light lie-flat business class seats in a 222 configuration and 283 economy class seats in a 333 configuration. For this flight, I shall be seated in 26 Alpha on the left-hand side or port side of the aircraft. LATAM has opted for the Collins Aerospace Pinnacle seat for their economy class, which features 31 inches or 78 centimeters of pitch and 17.3 inches or 44 centimeters of width. There is a standard tray table that folds down and extends towards you. Built into the back of the seat and the tray table are a set of cup holders. In the seat back pocket you'll find a safety card only. Above are individual reading lights, air vents and a flight attendant call button. Between each trio of seats are 2 universal power outlets. And finally, waiting at every seat is a pair of economy class style headphones. Soon we commenced our pushback from gate 59, 14 minutes ahead of our scheduled departure time.
Preparation for takeoff. Secure your tray table and put your seatbelt in its upright position. If your seat has a foldable video screen, stow it. If it has a side door, it must be open and locked. If the door system fails during flight, push the door harder in the opening direction.
We taxied to runway 16 left via Golf, Charlie and Bravo 10. Now please enjoy this unedited takeoff.
LAN Chile 800, runway 16 left, clear for takeoff, wind is 210 degrees, 12 knots. Clear for takeoff, runway 16 left, LAN Chile 800.
After takeoff, we made a sweeping left-hand turn over Botany Bay, which set up a southeasterly course for Auckland. Flight time today is 2 hours and 23 minutes, covering a distance of 1,350 miles or 2,172 kilometers, cruising at 37,000 and 39,000 feet. During our initial left-hand turn, the left-hand side of the aircraft was treated to an absolutely fantastic view of the eastern suburbs of Sydney, such as La Perouse. And shortly after, due to the continuous easterly course, in the distance was also the Central Business District, with the Sydney Eye and Crown Casino being very easily spotted. On the back of every non-bulkhead economy class seat is a 9-inch HD touch entertainment screen system, which is powered by Panasonic EX3. The system itself features a wide variety of different movies, TV shows, music and games, with a decent selection of Spanish-themed movies. You'll also find a selection of ebooks available, which is something I have never seen provided before. There is also an OK moving map feature, which has everything you would need for this length of a flight. Wi-Fi is also unfortunately not available on this flight. Approximately 1 hour after takeoff and nearly halfway to Auckland, the crew commenced the in-flight service. On offer today was a simple lunch service. I asked for a cup of orange juice, and we only had one option for lunch today, which was a fusilli tomato pasta bake. This came with a small, soft bread roll, as well as an individually wrapped Tim Tam. On board the aircraft are 9 bathrooms, 2 for business class and 7 for economy. Inside the economy class bathroom is everything you would typically come to expect for this aircraft type, including a fairly small baby changing station and a non-scented hand soap. Just prior to descent, the New Zealand standard biosecurity safety message was displayed on all screens, as well as being translated in Spanish as well. Soon we commenced our descent into Auckland. As the aircraft slowly fell back to Earth and the crew began prepping the cabin for landing, my head turned towards the window, but I was very unprepared for the views today and just how beautiful they were going to be. To non-av geeks, arriving or departing around dusk and dawn or sunrise and sunset is known as golden hour, and as evident, there is a lot of yellow light present. I personally find that this time of day can produce some of the most spectacular arrivals and departures. In today's case, the sun was on its way down, and due to the angle of the sun and the weather conditions in Auckland, this produced an almost halo-like glow over the aircraft. Not to mention, the water in the Manukau harbour was also extremely calm due to the wind conditions. The arrival today was all around stunning. Now please enjoy this unedited landing. After landing, we taxied back to the international terminal via Alpha 3, Alpha and Kilo. We pulled into Gate 5, 25 minutes ahead of our scheduled arrival time. As I stepped off the aircraft, I thanked the crew in Spanish before turning my attention away from LATAM and towards going to my hotel. So, I just flew on board LATAM between Sydney and Auckland. What are my thoughts? Well, as always, let's start from the beginning. The check-in experience back at Sydney was fantastic. It was super quick and very easy. The ground crew were also a key highlight as they walked me through the entire process and even warned me about the early boarding time. Security was a tad bit on the slow side, however immigration was super quick, so they kind of balance each other out. Sydney is currently in the process of updating its security and immigration checkpoint, so this was expected. On board, the seat was very comfy and had decent padding. Despite the seat design being rather slimline, it was perfect for this length of a flight, and even on the 10-hour flight to Santiago, I don't think I would have had a problem. The food on board was pretty good, but in my opinion a little bit more on the lukewarm side. It had great flavour, and I particularly liked the bread, which was soft and warm. And lastly, the crew, which I have a bit of a mixed feeling about. On one hand, they were very friendly and helpful, even moving passengers around so that they had a full row to themselves, but on the other hand, when it came to the service, it was rather slow, so in my opinion, there is a little bit of an improvement needed. So, would I recommend you to take this flight? Well, if you were continuing on to Santiago, of course I would. It's the only way you can get to South America from Sydney. However, if you were only flying to Auckland, yeah, I still would. Despite the rather slow service, everything went smoothly, and even the price I paid for, only $350, was pretty good. It definitely isn't Jetstar price, however. Interestingly, this is the first and only time that I have ever arrived into Auckland after flying from Sydney ahead of time, which is always a massive plus. Hopefully one day I'll get to fly with LATAM again, and fingers crossed it's all the way to South America. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment and subscribe, and make sure you check out my other videos if you'd like to see more. And I have said this before, but I now have a Discord server. Feel free to join. The link can be found at the top of the description. And as always, feel free to press the notification button too, as it will let you know whenever I upload again, which happens every single Friday at 8 PM Sydney time. And I hope to see you again in the next one. Hasta luego!